Hi friends, Emily Midgett here with you today on the Pinkfresh Studio YouTube channel, and today I have a gorgeous hydrangea-inspired card featuring some fun techniques using press plates from Pinkfresh Studio. I'm starting with the Leafy Lattice press plate, which I'm going to pair with Calico White ink. And then I'm also going to use the Bluebonnet Bliss Press Plate set, which you can see here that I have pressed into some really gorgeous foil cardstock without any ink. I'm also going to use the Basic Sentiments Stamp and Dies with 4 different colors of ink to create this really gorgeous kind of blurple card. So let's get started with how I created it. I'm going to begin by blending Sapphire, Blue Jay, Hydrangea, and Sheer Freesia inks from Pinkfresh Studio using the 1-inch blending brushes on a panel of white A2 cardstock. Now, these blending brushes create an extremely smooth, almost perfect blend because they have such fine bristles. I really find that they make just such an incredible difference when I am working with these beautiful light to dark ombre blends. So you can see that I started with Sapphire, and then I moved to Blue Jay right underneath it. And then the contrast between the Blue Jay and the Sapphire wasn't quite enough. So I decided to go back in with another layer of Sapphire to try to kind of enhance that contrast between the darker blue and the medium blue. Once I had finished the blues, I worked on the purples. So I worked with Hydrangea ink, going from the medium blue to kind of the medium purple. And then I ended up with the Sheer Freesia. And you can see that I use kind of a combination of a circular blending motion as well as a straight across motion, a back and forth motion. So you can use whatever movements work best to create the smooth blend from one color to the next. So now to create this, use the Better Press plate with this blended panel. Because I blended this panel on just plain white cardstock, I am using a piece of Strathmore Bristol cardstock to back my blended piece. Because that Bristol cardstock is a little bit thicker, it creates kind of a cushion behind that thin piece of cardstock, that regular weight cardstock. The Better Press cardstock is typically much thicker, so therefore it has more room and more cushion to press that imprint, that image down in. With the Bristol cardstock behind there, I get the benefit of pressing that cardstock down into, or pressing that image down into that thin cardstock, as well as getting the kind of a secondary press on that Bristol cardstock, so I can save that for later for something else. So now I'm going to use the same technique with that piece of Bristol cardstock behind my super shiny foil cardstock. Now, I have been really enjoying playing with different types of cardstock with the press plates. I think that it's such fun to be able to create that. It's not quite monochromatic. It just creates that, it's almost like an etched look on that foil cardstock. Because we have that thick foil cardstock with that coating on it, you don't even need to add any ink to it. You just use the press plate as almost like an embossing plate where it impresses that pattern down into that foil cardstock. And because the foil cardstock has that coating, it allows that image to become extremely crisply pressed down into that paper. So now for the greeting, I am going to use Blue Jay and Hydrangea inks to create an ombre sentiment stamp image so that I can kind of it's not quite a tone on tone, but it matches the blending in the background. So I'm inking up the top of my Hugs sentiment from the Basic Sentiments set with Hydrangea ink, and then I'm using a microfiber cloth to dab the edges of that inked area so that it kind of fades gently away so that there's not a harsh line. And then once I have inked that up, I did that a couple of times to make sure that there was smooth and even coverage. And then I use the Blue Jay ink on the bottom half. And I continue dabbing that that top ink line with my microfiber cloth to create that smooth fade from one color to the next on my stamped image. I just love that technique. I think it's so much fun. So I also stamped some coordinating sentiment strips from the basic sentiment stamp set, and I used my trimmer to trim those out, and then I'm going to use the outline shadow die from the coordinating basic sentiments die set to cut out that intricate sentiment die cut. So now to add a little bit of accent and sparkle to our card front, I am going to use the Fancy Edgers with some Midnight Navy glitter cardstock, and then the Wraparound Elements, the bow from the Wraparound Elements die set with some very shimmery pearlescent white cardstock. I'm having fun using these specialty cardstocks without any additional stamping or anything like that, just because the shimmer and shine that you get with these specialty cardstocks, they really are an element all unto themselves. They don't require a whole lot of extra help from anything else. So I use the Fancy Edgers with the Midnight Navy cardstock, and I die cut that pretty delicate and intricate die cut strip, backed it with a solid strip of the pearl white cardstock, and then used the bow die from the Wraparound Elements set with that same pearl white cardstock. I'm going to use those to kind of accent those solid impressed bluebonnet images to kind of create almost the effect of like a tied bouquet. So here I have adhered my Fancy Edgers die cut strip, my glittery Fancy Edgers die cut strip, to my blended and impressed background piece with some liquid adhesive. I have added one of the Bluebonnet Bliss die cuts to the background with some liquid adhesive, and then I'm also using some thin foam adhesive squares to add the second Bluebonnet Bliss die cut. I also used a few dabs of liquid adhesive to adhere my pearly white bow to my bouquet. Now I like to use multiple heights of foam adhesive, and you can see that I have on the top is a little bit thicker and on the bottom is a thinner one. I used the thin foam adhesive squares for the second Bluebonnet Bliss, and then I'm going to use the thicker foam adhesive squares for the sentiment. It just helps that sentiment kind of pop up from that background because we do have a lot of color and interesting things going on in the background. I want that sentiment to stand out. After I had finished adding all of my elements, I decided to add a few iridescent clear drops from Pinkfresh Studio just to fill in a few of the gaps. And that's it. This card is a testament to what an impact those gorgeous impression plates can make on a card simply by using the design itself. You can use specialty cardstocks that you might have been hoarding like I do. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you learned something. If you liked the video, please hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button to see some more content from us in the future. Have a great day. Bye.